Hey, everybody, welcome to Wild Ride Call Live, the podcast. I'm Annette Whittenberger, and here we get real about mental health, transitions, music, and the work we do in our communities. These are the raw, unfiltered stories that remind you that your voice matters and your story matters. Today, we're joined by Allison Burton, an author, an advocate, and speaker who is bravely shining light on the lived realities of military families, especially the invisible, emotional, and systematic burdens carried by spouses. Drawing from personal experience, Allison speaks to the parts of the military life that often go unnamed, the identity erosion, the chronic stress, the isolation that can exist even when everything looks successful from the outside. She is currently writing Silent Ranks, a candid and unfiltered exploration of military spouse life that blends storytelling with advocacy and a call for meaningful change. Her work challenges harmful narratives, elevates honest conversations, and reminds people navigating these unseen weights that they are not alone. Her specialty is naming what many feel but struggle to articulate: the invisible emotional labor, the quiet loss of identity, the mental load that impacts performance, relationships, and well being. Today, we're going to talk about what happens when survival becomes identity, when success masks isolation, and why naming the weight we carry is the first step toward resilience and healing. So please welcome Allison Burton.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure. This is a new experience for me, so I'm excited.
Yay! So really quick, I want to go back to something that we were speaking about before I brought you on. We were talking about social media and how we have a love-hate relationship, but
Yes.
also about how important it is to keep sharing our story. Because if it wasn't for me seeing one of your posts, this wouldn't be happening. I believe I reached out to you and said, "Hey, love what you're doing. Can I bring you on my podcast so we can share it?"
Yes, yes. You don't get a lot of interaction when you are speaking the truths that nobody wants to admit, or the things that you want to say to your best friend in a quiet space, in a hushed voice. You don't get a lot of and shares and likes and millions of views, and that's okay. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to bring light to the things that we as military spouses deal with, and if that means that only 3 people like it in a day, but I get 6 messages that are like, "Oh my God, you literally just named what I've been trying to figure out," or "I cannot believe that I'm dealing with this in 2026." So I do get a lot of those private messages, but it is a love-hate relationship with social media for sure. It's draining, but it's very rewarding, because I know that if people are too scared to say it out loud, that's okay. Like, you can message it to me and I'll scream it for you. I'm okay with
That's
that.
that's exactly it, and that's really the only reason why I'm still doing this. I've been doing podcasting since 2019, and it's so hard. I've cried, I've yelled, I gave up. But it's those private messages that remind me that someone's always watching, reading, listening. There's always that one person. If that one person, if you could save them or if you could make them feel better, then okay, I'll keep going because
Yes.
someone needs to hear it. So thank you
Yes.
for still doing what you do for the rest of them. We're almost like the voice for the voiceless.
100%.
Yeah.
I have definitely realized that trait about myself in the last, I'll say, 10 years, between the professional work that I was doing prior to writing my book, and just my entire personality. I'm the challenger. If you know anything about the Enneagram, I'm the 8. So I'm going to ask you why something is happening, not necessarily to challenge that person, but to know why things are the way they are. And I definitely have it ingrained in my soul to speak up for those that can't speak up for themselves, whether they choose not to because they're afraid, or whether they're a child or an animal or whatever that can't speak up for themselves. So it's definitely something that I hold dear to my heart, because we are a group of people that deserve a voice. And there's no reason why we should be cast right now as like a secondary character in this lifestyle, because we're not. We're absolutely not. Spouses are the foundation of our military, because if we aren't there to support the soldier, then everything starts to fall apart.
Right. No, you're right. And I mean, I thank you, and I don't know, I can speak for a few people that I know that are military spouses. We thank you for speaking up because nobody understands what goes on behind the scenes.
No.
And for the rest of you guys who are watching and who's known me as a soldier, as a veteran, I was still a military spouse, and I didn't really talk a lot about it because of the rank that my spouse then had carried. So sometimes nobody understands and nobody knows why. And it's little things like that, their rank, their position, their role, whatever. And so we're a little bit afraid, and so we don't say anything. We just walk around and just keep our head up and shoulders back and we drive on.
Yep.
But it isn't until, now you and I are like, nope, let's bring it up. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, it's hard, whenever you have to factor in, is my spouse gonna get in trouble for this? And while I do have some of that living in the back of my head, I also know that, the military lifestyle is not our forever. We will move on at some point, and I've told my husband several times, if this right here is the hill that I am taken out on, I'm okay with that. Because the people that walk in our shoes and wear the members only jacket, if you will, we deserve a voice and we deserve to be heard. We deserve the exact same treatment that our soldiers get and more. Like there's so many ways that we are not treated as equals, and way too many ways that I can carry or cover today. But it's time for everybody to speak up. And if that has to be me, I'm okay with that. Gladly give me the microphone. I will take the stage. If I have to be pulled off with a hook, okay, that's fine. But at least somebody is listening. I'm trying really hard to start conversations, whether it be on a podcast, whether it be in a blog post. Hopefully we can move up the chain and have real conversations with leadership to have some change happen. Because the things that we're dealing with now, we should not be dealing with the same spouse issues now as they did 50 years ago. Like,
You're so right.
it's kind of absurd and a slap in the face a little bit, because times have changed and leadership's mindset should change also. We know that we can help people. It's just whether or not they allow us to get the help.
Yeah. You just kind of motivated me again a little bit, because I'm going through different seasons of my life right now, and there's been a small part where I'm just like, do I continue the fight? Because I paused for a little bit. I was fighting so hard. I was advocating so hard. And then I felt defeated.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I'm not going to give up. I just need to take a break. So I truly feel like I ran into you. I read your post at the right time in order to have you here and bring that fire back. And like, I will be with you on Capitol Hill and speak up, because it's time. And I don't talk a lot about religion a lot, because everybody believes in different things. But I feel in this season of my life that God puts me where I need to be during that time, and he puts people around me that need to be there during that specific time. And I feel like right now this was meant to happen, because now I'm like, you tell me where to be.
100%. No, I definitely resonate with that. I had been sitting on the idea of writing this book for over a decade. I can't tell you why I never did. I don't have a reason. But last May is when I started to put everything down. And when I tell you that it was 100% a God thing, because I was working a full-time job. I had both of my kids at home myself, because my husband was in a deployment overseas at the time. I had all these things. I have children in competitive sports. I had all these things working against me. And I was like, I don't care. Like, it just had to come out of my brain so that I could put it down. And it's totally been something where it's like the universe was like, now's the time, because it has really, everything has lined up so beautifully. as I've been writing. And what started as what could have been like a really viral blog post, if you will, just ranting on the computer, is turning into a life of its own. And I'm very, very proud of the manuscript and what it's turning into right now. But it's definitely, there's divine intervention 100%, because the people that I've been able to meet and speak to and reach just through my words, whether they be something stupid and, oh my gosh, can you believe that, what do you call it when something breaks every time your soldier leaves? I can't think of the term of it right now, but you know what I'm trying to say. Everything breaks.
Law.
Yes, thank you. Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
Whether I'm making a post about Murphy's Law or I'm ranting about, the cost of moving, it doesn't matter, but those things resonate with people. And I'm just very, very glad that I have the ability to say things that I want to say. And for the most part, I mean, there are things that obviously you say behind closed doors because you don't want anybody to hear you rant and rave and cuss. But it's been an amazing journey thus far, honestly. And I'm grateful when people are like, oh, that really hit me, that sat with me. And I'm like, oh, thank you. So it's definitely, it's motivation. It really is.
I really love that for you. And the fact that you just one day you're like, okay, it's time, because sometimes that's just how it is. It's just, you can't force somebody to write. You can't, because then you half-ass it. It's just, you have to be in the moment where you're like, okay, I'm either getting a paragraph or a chapter done today. It just happens. But that's really great. It's not easy.
No, it's not. And I've always stated that I'm a better speaker than I am a writer, just because I can talk to just about anybody. Like it doesn't bother me to step into a room full of people and say something. But I've definitely found the writing, because I write the way that I speak, if that makes sense.
Yes.
It will read as if you're having a conversation with me, because I'm not going to write something that's very, literary prolific, because that's not who I am.
Nope.
That's absolutely not. There are cuss words in my book because hello, like I use them myself. Hopefully not in front of my children, but yes, I use them. And I had to make sure that it was actually my voice, because I don't want to portray someone that I'm not. That is definitely not who I am. But it's been an interesting journey. I will say that. My poor editor in the beginning of the editing process, I know she wanted to strangle me, because I was like, I hear you and I'm reading what you're writing and it's in English, but I fully don't understand what you're saying. But now we are on the same page, and I don't think she wants to strangle me as much now. So that's good.
I really love that, because that's exactly how I wrote my book. And there were moments where she was like, okay, I get what you're saying here, but maybe you want to like tone it down a little bit. I'm like, but she's like, I get it. You don't have to change everything, but maybe this one. But that's how I speak.
Mm-hmm.
Fun. But that's the best thing about it, is that people who know you are going to read it and go, that's totally what she would say. And not read it and go, who did you write this? You don't want that, and everybody's different. People have ghostwriters, people have all kinds of things. Every writer is different. But then there's some of us like you and I are like, we're going to be fully authentic, fully transparent. This is just how we're going to do it. Buy it or don't. This is me.
100%. 100%.
I wanted to talk about something that I had going through your bio and everything that you do. There's something that you talk about, which is invisible emotional labor impacting performance more than we admit. So how does that emotional weight quietly shape the way military spouses show up in their careers, relationships, and even their own self-perception?
The term emotional or invisible emotional labor is really, it sounds really intense, because it kind of is. Honestly, the things that we deal with mentally are astronomical. Like whether it be about our children that we may or may not have, our pets, our home, the move that we're about to do, medical appointments, everything emotionally just continues to weigh on your shoulders. And the hardest thing is you can't put that down. if you go into the gym and you're like, I really need to pick up something heavy and throw it down today because I'm so angry, like you can physically literally put that weight down and walk away. You're like, oh, okay, my muscles are sore, but I did that and I put it down. I don't have to do it again. But with emotional labor, nobody sees it. They don't see a rucksack. They don't see you holding books. They don't see you doing any of those things because it's all up here. It's the 87 tabs in your brain that are going all at the same time. And you can never close any of them out because you can't drop a glass ball. You have so many things to think about. And that wears a person down. And I say that from experience because my husband and I have been married for almost 18 years. And the emotional turmoil that has in different seasons of life, obviously some seasons are better than others. It is a lot, and it changes who you are to yourself. It changes how you present to your friends, if you even want to be around your friends. It changes your relationships with your family, and even also how you show up at your job. Are you fully present, or are you exhausted because you had to deal with whatever you had to deal with in the middle of the night because your spouse is deployed and your kid was throwing up in the middle of the night? Whatever those scenarios are, it's very, very difficult, and it's just it reshapes who you are, but in a lot of the times in a negative way. I'm not saying it can't be positive. But for me, it was until I learned how to juggle all the things and realize how to give myself a little grace, because I have all the grace to give other people, but I cannot seem to turn that mirror around and give it to myself. But when I figured out how to give myself that grace, I'm like, it's okay. It will be okay if A, B, C, D doesn't happen in that exact order. Things started to ease up I started to be a little kinder to myself. But the emotional labor is just exhausting. And it's so hard to describe to people that don't live our lifestyle, because they're like, what do you mean you have to think about you're moving in 6 months? Well, ma'am, sir, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that you don't see. Civilians see people drive up outside our house and they just walk in and start packing stuff and walk out with our stuff. They don't know that 6 to 9 months prior to that, so many things have been happening in the house. So much paperwork has been done, all the meetings that have to be done, depending on where you're going. So it's exhausting because it fills your brain and then you have no room for yourself. So it's definitely a challenge. But I'm hoping that through writing this book that spouses will be like, oh my God, like she is me and I am her and I feel seen. Yeah, I feel that on the inside. And that's what I really, really hope happens is you're like, okay, well, now I can see that there's a word for this. And because there's a word for this, or maybe I'm over functioning and I didn't know that was even a term, because when I learned that term, I didn't know that was a thing. But I'm 100% that person. But when you name it, it's easier to help yourself deal with it and to potentially move on from it if it's something that you can move on from.
Thank you for talking about that, because I feel like if one or two spouses talk about it, it's complaining or it's nagging or it's whatever. It's like we need more of us to talk about this so that people go, okay, it's not just these two complaining. It's a real thing, because we need to find where the kids are going to go to school next, what daycare they're going to go to, who's going to watch them, who's going to pick them up, how are we going to get to work? Oh, wait, do I get to go to the gym at all? Do I get to, I mean, like, you put yourself last all the time. We do that all the time. And it's at some point you snap.
Yeah.
You just break down, but you break down in silence, because God forbid you break down in public.
You can't do that. You can't show your tears.
No.
And I hate that. I really, really do, because it's not fair to any of us. And I don't know where the conditioning started, to be honest, because I'm only in my 40s. Like, I haven't been around the block, as many times as others. But it's really disgusting when people are like, no, you're fine. You can deal with that behind. No, I'm not fine. Like, I'm okay with saying I'm not okay. That's something that I've learned in my 40s. I'm like, I may not be okay right in this moment. I may be okay in an hour, but I'm not okay right now, and I need some help. And there's too many spouses that deal with that feeling of I'm not okay, and they get ignored. And that is disgusting in my world. Like that is just disgusting, because you have people, and again, I can speak from experience because I was one of those people at one point in time. They're begging for help. They're begging to get resources, and they're begging for whatever they need, and they just get brushed aside. And it's not good. It's not fair. It's not ethical. Like, I don't know how many words I need to come up with for that sentence, but it has to change, because we're human beings. Like, just because we don't put on a suit, a uniform, and have a flag on our arm doesn't mean that what we're dealing with doesn't matter.
No, you just made me think of something that I've experienced, or that I have seen lately within the past year. Is there's Facebook groups for everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the one in particular that I felt like I needed to join back then, and I stay in it now only because I want to help people. It's a military divorce group.
Okay.
And I stay in it because I want to be that person who doesn't say, that's a stupid question. Why do you ask that? Why can't you just Google that? Why are you asking that here? Why do you feel you deserve? That's not what this is about. People need to be kinder.
Yeah.
And I have been really just trying to not to cuss people out on Facebook. But I mean, there was one moment I'm like, why are you here if you're going to be mean? You
Yeah.
were in that person's spot at some point. If they're coming on here to ask for resources, give them resources, or don't say anything at all. Do you know how many people have private messaged me after the fact and says, can you please help me with these steps? And I'm just like, yes.
Yeah.
Because no matter if you're going to do a divorce or not, there is a community of military families who are suffering in silence.
Yeah.
And we need to be the bigger person and say, hey, how can I help you? I'm sorry, this sucks. But don't ever bash somebody because they're having an emotional breakdown, or they need help, or that I don't want to say sadly enough, but it is now common where you go to social media to ask for help.
Sure.
Because everybody knows everything. You can Google it, but why not ask your people who have been there or who know? So when you say that, I'm just like, yes, it's just so heartbreaking. So I'll be that one. Hey, you want to ask me questions? I'm not the expert, but I have done enough research for my situation to where I can try to lead you in the right direction. So when those private messages come up, I stop everything. I'm like, hey, how can I help you? And so like you, it's might not always be out there in the open, but the private ones are just like, man, I am okay. This is what I need to do. And
I honestly, excuse me, I feel like that may be one reason why the anonymous feature was put on to Facebook groups. And I kind of have a love-hate relationship with that also, only when people use it to troll or to be negative Nancy's, if you will.
Right.
But there are times when you're like, hey, I'm dealing with domestic violence, or I'm having bad thoughts and I need help. And those people, I respect them. I don't know who they are, but I respect them so much, because they took the time. They're like, I don't want to show my face, but I need help. And it's so brave. And I appreciate those, but yes, it's a great tool to use in the Facebook groups, because as you know, like every installation has their own spouses pages and yard sale pages and all the things. And they can be an absolute shit show. They can, but they can also be a wonderful resource. And I wish that you could like cherry pick the people that or just keep scrolling. If you don't have anything nice to say, just keep going. I wish you could pick those people out, but obviously we don't have that authority. But I definitely agree with the private messages. When I'm getting messages during the government shutdown that happened a few months ago, and it's families that are in Hawaii and they're absolutely struggling. There's no food on the shelves. No one's coming to save them, if you will. Like, it was awful. And it makes me so emotional, because I'm like, I wish I could help you, but like, I physically can't, but I can listen. I sent them resources that could potentially help them. But sometimes all we can do is listen. And that's okay. I may, like, as you said before, I may not be a professional at whatever it is you need, but I will listen and I will send you whatever information I have. It's why when I just put together my new website, I have a full list of almost 30, I want to say right now, and growing resources for families that I have vetted myself. Like I either know someone who works with that organization or the person that runs it. And that way they can get legitimate help. So they're not going to be chasing their tail. These are things that I know can be helpful and can be resourceful for them. Because why aren't we giving people a helping hand? Why do we need to judge? We don't need that. This life is hard enough.
Honestly, I just do a silent prayer for me not to be so angry and to
Yeah.
help that person who wants to be so ugly and not wish that they are going through that situation, because
Yeah.
it's just not nice. It is not
Mm.
nice. Which kind of leads into this, because that's a lonely place. And so with isolation being so common, even when success is so visible, why do you think high functioning, capable spouses often feel the loneliest? And what makes that isolation so difficult to admit out loud? I think we kind of covered it before, but you have anything else to add to that?
Yes, I do. I don't know. I'm sure you know this phrase, the strong friend.
Yeah.
So if you've never been the strong friend, good for you, kind of, because I feel like it's not a fun play. It's not a fun t-shirt to wear, if you will, because as the strong friend, you are the person that everybody leans on. You are the knower of all the things. You are the one that comes to the rescue at 3 a.m. when something has gone wrong, because you want to, not because you have to, because you want to be that person.
Yeah.
But as you become the strong friend, everyone around you realizes, oh, she's got her shit together. I don't need to help her. What does she need my help for? That is literally the opposite of what is happening, because just because I'm the strong friend doesn't mean I don't need help. It doesn't mean I'm not crying in my shower some nights because I am so frustrated and just burn out. Like, it's so isolating because you put this exterior up of, I got this, and my kids are well behaved, my husband is doing great, I have a job, blah 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 blah. But on the inside, you're like, oh dear Lord, if one more person calls my phone today, I'm going to throw it in the street and run over it. Like, it's very hard. And culturally, I feel like my husband is on the officer side, and I feel like many officer spouses step into this willingly and unwillingly. And I'm not discounting on the enlisted side at all. I just can't speak to that. But I feel like when you're deemed an advisor spouse, or, any of the fancy titles that come along with senior ranks,
Yes.
it's hard because they're like, oh, they say it's lonely at the top. Like when
Yes.
your spouse is quote unquote in charge or second in command, or, whatever those titles are, it's definitely difficult because those younger spouses for sure, like, oh, look at her. She's been here for like 20 years. Like, she's got it. No, she really doesn't. Like, she may look put together for you right now, but did you see her an hour and a half ago? Like, because we all have the same issues. And I write this verbatim in my book. We all have the same issues. We just have different size housing.
Oh, yes.
Like, literally, we all deal with the same BS as whether you're a private or a general. Like, it's all the same. It's just how big is that problem and what size house you live in, because nothing separates us. There is so many times where I've seen general spouses, especially, that are treated like a walking HR policy. You're like, oh my God, I can't sneeze. I can't answer my phone. I can't check my Facebook. I can't do anything. And I'm like, she's human too. Like, she's 100% a human and a spouse, and probably a very down to earth person. Most of them are.
Right?
So it just, the lonely at the top is real. It's real. The being the strong friend is so real. And that's why from time to time I do post on social media, check on your strong friends. And I mean that, because they may not be okay. And it's okay for them to have a moment where they're like, I need somebody, I need you, but they don't want to tell you out loud because they've already been labeled the strong friend.
God, I felt that like all the way in my soul, because it's funny how many people think, oh, you've got it easy because your husband is a colonel or a general or whatever. It gets harder the higher
Yes.
It gets harder. It's almost like you just keep your mouth shut and don't put that everywhere because people, I mean, I had soldiers following me on social media. So I was like, oh, I can't say everything I want to say
Mhm.
because then they're going to be like, oh my God,
Mhm.
Colonel so-and-so's wife. And I'm like, Jesus,
Mhm.
so I had to always be careful. And I'm like, you know what? My job, this is why I started a website, is to talk about this stuff. If they want to criticize me, then criticize me. And
Yep.
he knew the work that I did, but I still felt like, "Oh my God, I can't say everything I wanna say," and it's just like so it's harder, and even friends that are generals' wives, they don't even go on social media anymore, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Wow, we get stripped of being human
Yep.
because they don't want you to say certain things. Listen, man, this isn't if you are going to treat that soldier differently because we're saying things and we're not acting crazy, we're just being ourselves,
Mhm.
then something's wrong with this picture. So yeah, I could
Yep.
talk about this topic all day long. It's just it's yes, strong check on your strong friends. Absolutely, because we're just trying to freaking be the prim and proper spouse that we're supposed to be so that nobody gets in trouble. I'm done.
Yeah, it's not that I wanna walk into a room and, like, flip a table because
No.
that's not my personality. I mean, I could if the
I mean,
situation
get me
called for
mad, I
it.
might.
But I definitely agree, it's really hard for my husband. He's like, "But why do you need to say that out loud?" Because I'm not the only one. Because
Yes.
I'm not the only one.
Yes.
There's no reason why I should have to sit here and color and keep my mouth shut and not say something when it's obvious that there's a problem. Now, we're not talking about one offers on a nurse that got snarky. Those are, that's
Yes.
unfortunate, but
Yes.
it's not the same thing. But when we are dealing with the same thing from insulation to insulation and year after year, and it's no matter what branch, all
Nope.
the branches seem to be, they may be better in one area, but they're terrible in another. So it all balances itself out. And it's just not okay anymore. And my tagline on my website and for my pages is because somebody has to say it.
I was just gonna say that because if it's not you, who's it gonna be? Because then we're
Yeah.
gonna continue the whole shit we go through in the army. Well, that's just how it's done.
Yep.
So that same thing in this world as well. I mean, that's just how it's always been. We just don't say anything. We just stay quiet. We don't want to cause a ruckus.
Just me.
Um, okay, well then you don't know who I am.
Let me introduce myself.
Let's start over, okay? Because um if not me, then who? That's it.
Yeah.
And you know what? You can like me or hate me. It's fine because I want to
Mhm.
save somebody's life. I want to make change. I want to make impact.
Yeah.
And that's just how it's gonna be. And that's it. Gosh darn it. So yeah, we're gonna keep going. Doesn't matter. So Mr. Burton, I'm sorry, but we need her to keep talking, speaking out loud, healing out loud, because if not her, then who? And I'm gonna
Yeah.
stand right next to her, so we're now besties. It's fine. It's fine. You
I
might not
love
like
it.
me at all.
He doesn't have a choice. I love that he does what he does, and he's very passionate about what he does. But he also knows that there's only so much he can stop. Like I have a much better filter than I
Uh-huh.
did 17 years ago when we started in this journey. I no longer say that's stupid every 35 seconds because even though I want to say it, I keep it inside. Those are inside thoughts. But I feel like he's also been awakened to a lot of information as I've been writing this because I'm like, you do realize that it's not just me. And he's like, oh, well, it's only like one other person. No, there are thousands,
Yeah. Hold
thousands of
on.
people. Do you want
Yeah.
me to share their information with you? But he's definitely, going back to a conversation that he and I just had a couple of days ago. I was fortunate enough to sit down with a foreign-born spouse and to learn about their struggles as military spouses, which I'm not a foreign-born spouse, so I had no idea.
Yeah.
And she informed me and educated me on some things that I was like, "You can't be serious. Like, you cannot be serious of what you're saying right now." And they have a section in my book because they deserve it. Because as someone who was born in America. Now I have lived in another country and that was rough. So I cannot imagine it being the other way around for them. But like, he has no idea all the things. I'm like, I don't expect you to know because you put on the boots and you put on the uniform and your goggles are army goggles. And you are focused on your mission. And I respect that, but also you need to take off the blinders a little bit and understand that there are issues that spouses deal with across the board. And some are worse than others. And it's definitely been eye-opening for him, for sure. So hopefully he doesn't, mind that I'm a loudmouth, but actually I know he doesn't because we wouldn't have been together for 20 years if he did.
I love that. So you haven't had a filter and I did because, I wore the uniform. So my mouth was always just like, but when it came off, I was like, oh, hell no. Here it goes.
The tables. Yep.
Everyone was like, shit, she does have a voice. And it's going to be loud. So here we go.
I love it. I love it. Whenever people find it, it doesn't matter to me if you had to take off the uniform to find it. If you had to have a mental breakdown to find it, whatever, I don't care, own it. Own that story and own your challenges, because I talk about many of my challenges in my book openly. I will have that conversation all day long with anyone who wants to listen.
Yes.
Because you need to know that you're not alone.
Yes.
You need to know that, oh my God, I'm not the only one that didn't feel right after having a baby, and maybe it takes a conversation with another parent at a play group that they're like, I'm not feeling too hot. Like maybe they just left the doctor's office. And they're like, oh, my doctor wants to start me on medication. It's an open conversation that has to happen to build community and to build camaraderie, because we can't do this alone. We're not created to do this alone. Right. Like our human instincts are to have a group of people, and who better to support you than the people that are living the same lifestyle. But if we don't say it out loud, if we don't give it a name, if we don't let people know, hey, this sucks, or, hey, whatever, I'm feeling this sort of way, how are they going to know to help you? How are they going to know that they're not alone?
You're so right. I just thought of something because I saw it a few days ago, and I just want to reiterate how human it is, right? I'm a big fan of Drew Barrymore. She was on her show the other day and she was talking about how she had seen a conversation that Nick Jonas had about having an anxiety attack before an award show. And she came on and was like, listen, Nick, I've had it too, but nobody talks about it because you're famous and you're a star and you're supposed to be happy that you're this famous and you're a star. And but it's real. And that's the same thing for us. Like, it's real. It doesn't matter if you wear the uniform or not, or your husband's a general or not. It's there. And it's real, and we need to talk about it. And so I just thought about that. And
it's the perception of our military culture is really skewed. I've done a lot of work here in Leavenworth with Monica Bassett with Stronghold Food Pantry. Yes. And the conversations that I have been with her to have, and I've had myself, about food insecurity, and people are like, what are you talking about? You guys get a paycheck every 1st and 15th. Well, respectfully, ma'am, sir, that doesn't mean that it covers everything, because it doesn't. Like, in too many cases, like, people don't understand. They're like, but it's consistent. Consistency doesn't equate to having enough. It's not the same. And I write about salaries and financial hardships in my book as well. And it's like, it makes me sick to my stomach. It really does, because the treatment of our junior enlisted when it comes to salary is just, it's gross. That's really, I don't want to go down a tangent. However, I can if you want me to.
You can talk about whatever you want.
Like, it's just gross, because the thing that I equate it to in my manuscripts is, I looked up the average salary of an E1 to E3. So 18 years old, just out of high school, all the things. And it is roughly the same salary as an 18-year-old would make full-time at McDonald's. And potentially, depending on the state, the 18-year-old at McDonald's could make more money. And we're not going to act like those responsibilities are the same, because they're not. They're absolutely not. Your expectations are different. Your responsibilities are different. Everything is different. But we're That's what we're paying our junior enlisted soldiers to barely keep them above the poverty line. Like, does that not send a red flag up to so many people? Because it sure does me. Like, it's disgusting. It, like, why these men and women are signing up to defend our country and we can't pay them enough to live? What? Like, yeah, it's deplorable. It really is.
Yes.
And I don't understand how people turn a blind eye, or they're like, yeah, I hear you, but they just don't care. And I don't know who those people are. Haven't met them. I would love to. I would absolutely love to talk to them,
Please.
because I don't wear a uniform. So therefore, like, what are you gonna do to me? Say no, thank you. Okay, I'll leave. Like, that's fine. But I'm not gonna get in trouble because I'm just pointing out factual information that makes you uncomfortable.
Exactly. So let's talk about your specialty that centers on naming the weight as the first step toward healing. Why is language so powerful in resilience? And what happens psychologically and emotionally when someone realizes it's just not just me, which we kind of talked about too, but
Language is powerful. It really is. I mean, we've been told since we were little bitty, words can hurt, but they can also heal. And being able to name a feeling that you're feeling is huge, because before you can name it, and I'll speak again from personal experience, we'll use resentment as the topic, because as a military spouse, if you haven't felt resentment, like, I want to meet you and I want to shake your hand and I want to know how in the hell you did that, because I feel like all of us deal with it at some point or another in some degree. I myself have dealt with it in my marriage, because why not me? When is it my turn? Why do you get to do this and you get to tell us where to go and I don't get a say? And all those things, they live rent free in your head. But until you know what it's called, and until you understand, hey, I can say it out loud and be like, okay, I admit I have a problem. It's resentment. But then you're not self-blaming anymore. You're not internalizing it as much anymore, because it has a name. It has a definition. You can do some reading about it and be like, okay, I realize I feel this way. Why do I feel this way? And how do I get past it? Because if you recognize that it's not something you want to continue to feel, then you can do the homework behind it if you really want to. You can speak to a therapist about it. You can speak to a friend about it, whatever it is for you that's most comfortable. And you can name it, because resiliency isn't pretending it's not hard. Like, that's not how this works. It's understanding what you're carrying and why it's hard. You know, we carry a lot of things, mentally, physically, emotionally, all the things. You know, we are the sounding board for our soldier. I like to say that we are Switzerland between our soldier and our kids, if we have them, because you've got children that are upset that they're moving, and you have to be the person that they go to and they run to, because we don't want it gets daddy or mommy is making us move again. And you're like, I understand that you're very upset and it's very difficult and I'm very sorry. And then you have to turn and you have to talk to your spouse, whose mission that you support, but you still hate at the same time. And it's very difficult to be Switzerland for years and years and years. But when you know that it's not just you that feels that way, you're like, oh, I can connect with these people on a different level, and I can understand that I'm not crazy. Like, I'm not just, having a bitchy day. Like, no, there's a reason why we feel that way. And naming it can lead to relief in a lot of ways. Because you're like, oh, now I get it. Now I can understand. Oh, this is anxiety. Oh, I had no idea. Now I can talk to my doctor about it, or whatever. Sometimes it can lead to anger, because you get mad at yourself. You're like, how did I let this happen? And I find myself in that category. Sometimes, is how did I allow myself to see him in this light? Because that's not what it was from the beginning. But our mind plays tricks on us, and I'm somebody who I deem myself a mental health warrior. So I deal with anxiety and depression from time to time. So I get it. I resonate with all of these things, because your mind will tell you something, and then you come to understand what you're really doing, and you're like, oh, that's not. We don't want to do that. We want to move on from that. But it's clarity. It helps us mentally in so many ways. Being able to have words to something gives people clarity, and then they understand how to move forward.
Thank you for that. And I feel like sometimes when we when we use the term, I have depression or anxiety out loud, then it's like it's real.
Mhm.
But then you feel like, oh my gosh, are they not gonna what are they gonna think about me? Are they gonna think I'm crazy? Are they gonna think something's wrong with me? Are they gonna and it's like we need to stop with that stigma.
Yeah.
I've been talking about that since I got out, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I don't wanna ever tell anybody." And I've lost friends because of it. I've been looked at differently, and it was very hard, but I think we need to realize that it doesn't define who you are.
Absolutely not.
Just have the conversation like we've been speaking about. Someone needs to start the conversation, and someone needs to realize that it's okay. And even with the resentment too, like I had resentment too. Why is your career more important than mine? Why do we have to move to Fort Polk, Louisiana so we can take command? Um, when I've been avoiding that place for 17 years. But it was actually okay because I love the people there and the
Yeah.
food was great. But yeah, it's little things like that. That's like, how do we turn this into a positive experience rather than sit there and go, I freaking hate this place. I'm gonna hate it.
Yeah.
The kids are gonna hate it. It's just gonna suck.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely it's difficult. And one last thing that I will say about naming a feeling, whether it be resentment, whether it be anxiety, whatever those signals are. Maybe you have rage because you hate where you're stationed. Like I've had that also. Like I feel like most people are like, "Oh dear God, get me out of here." You've been there 3 days, and you're like, "Oh, I can't. How
Right.
am I going to do this for 2 years?" Like
Yeah.
we've all been there,
Yeah.
but giving these things a name is validation.
Yeah.
And that's one major thing that I want for the people that read my book is you are seen and you are validated. Everything that you feel doesn't make you the horrible person that you feel like you are. No, you're validated in your thought. This is hard. And dealing with, I mean, we haven't even gotten into like external things like your extended family causing absolute chaos in your life because a lot of people have that.
Yes.
Whether you're dealing with a toddler, you're dealing with a newborn, you're dealing with a teenager, like that's also a hardship. The world is on fire basically right now with all the shenanigans, and we're still trying to keep ourselves afloat. Like it's not easy. We
Right.
have a lot of things that we are conditioned to carry, and if we don't talk about it, we're just going to crumble. And I'm sick and tired of seeing people crumble. Like
Yes.
it's not, we shouldn't have to. We shouldn't have to crumble to get attention.
Absolutely right. And even I feel like a lot of people think, well, if I don't say it publicly, then um then it's not real. All you have to do is just text. I mean, you
Yeah.
could text me and be like, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
I really feel like I just want to run somebody over. And I'll be like, girl, hold on. Let me come get you. It just as simple as that.
Yeah.
So you can let it out and just say, I'm not okay. Because I am the master of suppression. I I can take care of my own shit. I was in the army and I don't need any help. So fast forward till today, I have a therapist. My kids know I have a therapist, and I'm not
Good.
ashamed to talk about my therapist. And I see him twice a month, and it's like on clock
Yeah.
every other Tuesday, 3 o'clock. You know what? Like, and I start feeling like, when is it time to see him? And so, and it's okay,
Yeah.
you
100%.
know.
Huge proponent for therapy. And, I have one as well, and she's amazing. She is a former military spouse also. So like the fact that I didn't have to explain cultural
Yeah,
things to her
yeah,
was amazing. And it's definitely now I didn't find her easy because that's a journey in itself
yeah.
because if the it's not always the first one you pick is the right one kind of type of
Nope.
situation, and it's exhausting. But yes, I definitely feel like our generation is making it a little bit easier for people to talk about mental health
Yeah.
because we're bonding over it. We're like, oh my God, you have a therapist too? Me too. Who do you see? Like, do we see the same person? Do we need to go in a 2-for-1 special today? Like, like
Oh
it
my God,
is
you have a therapist too?
like, oh my God, that's amazing. Me too. Like we bond over it because we're like, this is helping us survive.
It keeps me
And
out of jail.
and
Okay.
that's
So
right. I don't need charges. I don't need charges. I don't no. It helps keep me sane and calm. And even if I spend the full hour going, you're not going to believe what my child did, and I'm
Uh-huh.
just venting, that's fine. Like, that's okay. If you just need a vent session, call your bestie. They could be next to you, next door. They could be across the country. They could be across the world. But I promise, as you said earlier, like, send that text, be like, I need you to check on me in 2 hours because I'm feeling kind of down right now. Can you check on me in 2 hours? Send it.
Seriously, that's
No questions.
as little as that. And if you have the right bestie, we will know.
Yes.
So it's okay. It's just, we know, we get it. We get it. It's
Yeah.
going to be, I want to sit here and say it's going to be fine because I think we've been there. And so when people used to tell me it's going to be fine, I used to be like, oh, you don't get it. But I
Yeah.
think after some time and reflection and crying and things like that, now I can say, you know what? It is. And even I think I was asked a question too, what would you tell your 17, 16-year-old self? And I would tell her,
Mm.
you're going to make it.
And I live by the mantra, and I tell this to my friends, especially those with daughters. If you are saying something to yourself that you would not say to your daughter, then you shouldn't be saying it to yourself.
Yeah, you're right.
Because I would never look at my daughter who's 10, she'll be 11 next month, and be like, "What are you even doing?" I would not say that to her. But I would never speak to her the way I speak to myself. And it's like, oh, it's a slap in the face, like, oh my God. It's really a wake up call because we have to be kinder to ourselves and we have to be kinder to each other. It
It
is,
is.
this shit is hard.
It, it is. And I didn't even learn to give myself grace until just a few years ago. Because I used to be so hard on myself. If I'm not on the computer 8 hours a day creating social media content, and I don't have a podcast coming out every week like everyone else does, then I'm gonna fail. No,
It's
no,
impossible.
absolutely. And I'm tired of sitting behind here. What's gonna get done?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna wear myself out, and then the day's over, and then I go to bed and I do it again tomorrow. I'm like, nope, no more.
Yeah.
It's fine. Giving ourselves grace is one of the hardest things to do
Yeah. It
because
really
of the
is.
world that we live in.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like I need to step back and go, it's fine. It is so fine. I'll just do it tomorrow.
And it's definitely difficult. I fully resonate with that, to give yourself grace. I too am very, very hard on myself. And my husband's like, why do you set that standard? And I'm like, I have no idea. Like, I can't even come up with where it started. And a lot of times, we expect so much of ourselves that we don't even expect out of other people.
No.
It's like, I know that's not feasible. Then why are you beating yourself up over it? Like, we shouldn't, but we are conditioned to carry it all, to take it all on and help others. And then we're standing, hunched over because we're like, oh my God, there's so much going on. But yeah, we shouldn't have to do that to survive. I mean, that is surviving. That's not thriving. But yeah, it's hard. It's definitely hard to give ourselves grace, especially those of us that are trying to do all the things and trying to help all the people. Even though, like, if we only reach one, we say we're going to be happy that we only want to reach one, and we're like, yay. And then we see that one and they're like, okay, I need two more. Like,
Exactly.
I need two more. It's not good enough. I
I
gotta
want to
get
save
more.
the world. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of hard.
Yes. Like, we 100% give me the cape. Like, I want to save the world. And it's hard, but we can't do it alone. But that's why we're having these conversations.
Yes.
We can link arms and we can do it together. But it's difficult. It's so difficult, but it's less difficult when we share everything that we're dealing with, when we're honest with ourselves and we're honest with our friends. And we're like, you know what? I haven't heard from you in 6 months. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Like,
No,
are
for
you
sure.
just busy? Because if you're just busy, I'm cool with that. But if
Yeah.
you're not okay, I need to know, because I want to check on you. I want to
For
send
sure.
you coffee. I want to take you out for ice cream, whatever those things are. But it makes it less isolating when obviously when you have a friend. So
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely. I love this conversation. I'm so glad that I found you and
same.
that we're now best friends. So just
Hey, I'm cool with that.
oh my God. So What is one thing you'd like to leave your audience?
So the book is titled Silent Ranks, Loud Burdens. And my goal is to have it out by the end of 2026, at the very latest, early 2027. So I am in the developmental editing phase right now, which I'm working with an amazing editor. She's phenomenal and I love her. And she's become one of my best friends also because we talk all the time. And it's such an amazing process. It's hard. It's hard work, but it's still like it's wonderful. I didn't know I had this in me, but I found it. But the goal would definitely be end of 2026. I do have a website. It's allisonburton.co.co. So you can find all the information there. I have resources on my website as well for anybody who if you don't want to pick up the phone and you don't want to post on Facebook or send an email or a message. There's a whole list of resources for various things on my website as well. And it explains how we got here. You know, how did I decide to just pick up this advocacy journey in this microphone and be like, okay, I need somebody to listen. So it explains all that. But yeah, it's been wonderful talking to you today. I really appreciate it.
Same. I had a lot of fun, and I'm so glad that I met you or met you or whatever. So.
Email. I like that.
I met you. I can't wait till your book comes out. This is going to be incredible.
Thank you.
Thank you for
I'm
doing
hopeful.
it. Yes.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I will definitely let you know if and when I get a date, an earlier date. Let's hope that it's earlier date. Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.